Okay, now you can hear me. I'm sorry for that. Alrighty then. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Great Transition. How are you, Seth?
All right, man. I didn't notice that you're showing our video while the song is still going. That was a trick.
Oh, that's it's
Okay.
it kind of
I was just getting
adds.
everything set up here. I see that this friend from Finland is like here early. I think 3, 4 shows in a row already. That's
All right. And with
amazing.
him, we have a bunch of people. I see Minnesota, Salt Lake City, North Carolina. We see familiar names, Slightly Slanted Sleuth, of course, the David Mancini. Um, we got
David
Colorado
Mancini
in the
is destined to
house.
be destined to
Kai,
be a big name in our future.
yeah, for sure. Cairo, Egypt is in the house as well.
Hi,
Hello,
Kiko.
hello, Isabel from Brooklyn. Hey, Patricia. Hey, everybody. Great to see you. All right, welcome to the Great Transition, everybody. If you're new here, then we want to tell you that something big is happening in the world. Maybe you are feeling something in that regard. Maybe you're feeling like you have no idea where the world is going, and yet you know it's going somewhere bigger, maybe even better than what it used to be. So we want to tell you that you're absolutely right. Something big is happening. We call it the Great Transition. And as we go into this great transition, we want to explore how we can unite above all differences, rise above all of the differences without eliminate them. But whatever makes us different, politics, religion, culture, all these things, we can somehow, some way, find our common humanity, our oneness, uh, how nature's laws tie us together despite all those differences. So that's what we want to do here. Welcome everybody to the Great Transition. And Seth, can I just hit you right away with something?
Go
Can I
for it. Eat
just
the frog first
um
thing in the morning.
I
Let's
mean,
go.
okay. Let's just do it. Let's just go for it because we were supposed to talk about this topic, but I didn't show you this article specifically, which I thought is a good idea to start with. Okay, so let's just dive right into it. Here is something that is happening. This headline is about Europe, but this is a big thing that's happening now all around the world. So in Europe, you have politicians from various parties, not necessarily the same party, and they're saying, listen, everybody, we have to shorten the work week. We need to start working less. And this will be great for COVID as well because people will be able to share more of the work instead of laying people off. You'll have, more people working less time. Here's a nice quote that they wrote a letter to like the officials and the presidents of whatever, like England, Germany, Spain, and others. Uh, and look, this I found this kind of especially interesting. They're saying for the advancement of civilization and the good of society, now is the moment to seize the opportunity and move towards shorter working hours with no loss of pay. Um, it's interesting. There's another there's another there's another quote I want to read to you. This is one of the campaigners says this: the 4-day working week has hit the mainstream, and it's now up to governments, business leaders, and trade unions to work together to make it a reality. Anyway, you get the idea. Another one, yeah, here's another quote. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown the world of work up in the air, offering a much needed opportunity to rethink how we work. So you get the idea. There's a bunch of people who are saying, while we have this COVID situation throwing people out of jobs, the workplaces are in flux. It's not exactly clear what's going on. Let's take advantage of the opportunity and shorten the work week. This will do good to our civilization. They also say it'll do good to the climate crisis as well. All kinds of advantages. So why not? Actually, what do you think, man?
I have so many thoughts about this. First of all, I'm second generation in a family business in a service oriented business.
Mm,
So we didn't really stop for the whole um, COVID crisis. We
hmm
basically service appliances,
You are
All
essential.
sorts.
You are
Yeah, we're essential.
essential
Um,
people.
Not a very
Essential.
sexy business, but a very important business. And so, um, thinking about it from that side, and then thinking about it from the other side, I have met. First of all, before we even get into it, we should probably say, anyway, it's a great concept, okay? But who's writing the article? Why are they writing the article? What's their
Okay.
agenda? Let's just leave that aside. Let's
Okay.
leave any kind of politics aside and just entertain the concept, because for sure, if we see something in the mass media, there's some kind of agenda behind it. Who wants this? Why do they want it? Um, but let's my boys today had school, I think, from like 8:30 till 12.
Okay. That's not
And
that
the older
much.
one who's in high school doesn't have school on Fridays. So they have 4 hours of school 4 days a week. It's They used to go like I mean 7 to 8
Yeah.
hours, 5 days a week. Here's what I think. For sure, we don't need to be working so much. Okay, first of all, pretty much everyone's expenses went down since all this began. We're not running around, we're not shopping all the time.
Hmm.
Second of all, if we're going to have a good life that isn't full of war, we're going to need to have meals with our family, speak with one another, learn how to be together. That
What do you mean?
requires us
What do
to.
you mean by war? By war, you mean that we're always at war with ourselves on our day to
We're
day?
at
That
war with ourselves. We're at war
okay.
with people in our family. We're at war at work. We're at war in society. We're in war between countries. We're filled with an evil society where everyone is just at war with everyone all the time. So we don't have time to be with our families. We don't have time to exercise. We don't have time to have leisure time because we're constantly working. So
Right.
something like this would enable us to spend time with our children, meaning we could learn something in our life and then actually pass it to the next generation so they can benefit from all of the mistakes we made and all of the wisdom that we acquired. Exercise, that would be a great thing.
Sure.
Less of a
Sure.
burden on society if people are healthy. So anyway, it's a great concept, but we're gonna have to. Here's the other part of it. Same thing with like the basic, what is it, UBI?
Yeah, universal basic
Oh,
income.
oh,
It's really part of the discussion, but okay, we'll get there.
so
Just
so take this concept of the kids schooling at home. Take the concept of the 4 hour work week. Take the
yeah.
concept of UBI. Take the concept of all of. I was in New York yesterday. What a melancholy vibe in the air. Oh my God. Um, but take all these restaurants shutting down, take all of these stores shutting down. You have a lot of time on your hands now.
Right. And
I
add
mean,
to that automation and, AI and all of those kind of
so
mechanization
the bigger
systems.
question,
Yeah.
yeah, the bigger question isn't about like how many hours should we work. The bigger question is what are we going to do with all this time? Like, is there something valuable that we can do with if it's just to change all of our life just so that we can watch more Netflix? That's not compelling enough.
Hmm.
But if there's some kind of if we were transitioning into some kind of new life then and we had a need
Uh,
for time to do something meaningful, so
uh,
then we
okay.
could have a conversation.
Okay, so let's talk about the conversation. Yeah, okay. So the conversation, first of all, this shorter work week is part of a bigger conversation that is now going on. There's this whole post-capitalism school of thought that is gradually being taken into account by more and more
Wait, are
people.
you a communist?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Of course, we're communists just for even bringing that topic up, just for even, mentioning it. Yeah, of course, some of these people that are bringing up these ideas are considered commies, but, well, we don't want to take sides right now or go into this whole communism versus capitalism because I don't think that is the conversation, at least not the one that we want to have. But yeah, there is this knee jerk reaction, right? As soon as we talk about things that challenge the status quo of capitalism, immediately you're gonna have people looking at this conversation right now through this prism of, okay, more socialists, more communists, what more whatever. Usually they attribute that to the left, of course, and we can be easily classified from that perspective. So let me calm down all of our viewers, okay? Let's do a little disclaimer here. There is a conversation, and it's an interesting one, and it's a relevant one, and we want to go into it, and we want to give our 2 cents, but we're going to try to discuss this from a deeper perspective, one that takes human evolution into account, one that takes our accountability to the laws of nature into account, and not one that is driven by politics or economic interests or other kinds of human based agendas. We're trying to understand where humanity is evolving. Let's enter the conversation of this post capitalist idea from this perspective. Human evolution, where is it going? What's happening today? And how do we look at what's happening from this perspective? Okay, so no, do
This
you
would be a
buy
great
that? Do you
story to
buy
show in the
that?
Guardian. This would
Okay,
be the story that should be in the Guardian, not the 4 hour work week. It's like, when a boat goes through the water,
yeah,
and after the boat goes through the water, there's like ripples behind the boat called a wake. So it's like the
right,
Guardian is writing
yeah.
a story about like the size of the wake and how big it is and what is a wake. Meanwhile,
Mm,
they're missing the whole thing. There's a
I
boat
see what you're
moving
saying. Yeah.
somewhere and there's people on the boat
Mm,
and there's a destination they're going to. And meanwhile, everyone's on the side like measuring the weight.
yeah.
It's like that's
But
not the
but here
conversation.
the arguments also happen because on these, how did you call them, wakes?
Yeah, the wake.
This is the all of the arguments, and the political arguments are about that. So we're going to change this policy or that policy, or you're going to add this regulation to the market or add that regulation to the market, and all these things are like little bits and pieces that focusing. You know what? I would even say that focusing too deeply on those details prevents you from seeing the boat and where it goes.
And
You know what
who's
I
on
mean?
it and where it's going towards.
Exactly. So yeah, so this shorter work week is of course part of a bigger conversation that is happening among scholars and among people and among politicians and and online in different places. And yes, and it's not just the shorter work week. There's a lot of things that are being weighed and taken into consideration, like a basic income, universal basic income, the idea of giving each and every person a certain basic income regardless of the labor, regardless of the work. There's the idea of other services that to fulfill the basic needs of people that maybe should be also basic rights without the need to pay for them, such as medicine, such as that is healthcare, such as housing, clothing, education. So all of that is
All the
being,
basic
yeah.
animal kind of needs.
Ooh,
Shelter, food, health,
that's an
like our animal
interesting
existence.
that's an interesting idea, a title, like an interesting definition for it. Here, call it
I'm
the
running for political
yeah.
office. I will ensure all of your animal needs are met.
Oh, here, okay. Here's what I want to say about the. I do want to say something about the politics of it. Not to take a side and go into it, but just to uh, to exemplify, to demonstrate how irrelevant the political discourse is in light of what's actually happening. So this big change is happening with COVID, with instability and uncertainty about where the economy is going, where jobs are going, and while this is happening, so the public demands at large, not everyone, but mostly the public demands from the elected leaders in whatever country, it doesn't matter, to bring things back to how they were. And the whole argument between left and right today is about who's going to be able to bring things back to how they were. Did you think about that? So it's basically the right will tell you, I will bring back jobs and da, 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 da,
Make
and do it
America great again.
and do it this way, yeah. And then the left will tell you, I will bring back jobs by ending the pandemic in this way or that way, and we'll do it more responsibly or better, and then we'll bring back all the jobs. And the public demands to go back to 2019. The left leaders on the left or leaders on the right give them their agenda for how to go back to 2019. But guess what? 2019 isn't coming back, man. It's just not coming back. And that, when you start taking that into account, then you gotta think about, okay, is it really jobs that we need to bring back? Is it really an increase in GDP that we need to bring back? Is it really more consumption like we had before that we need to bring back? Is it really more pollution and air travel that we had before that we need to bring back? Is it sending our kids to the same outdated 300-year-old based education systems that we need to bring back? So when you look at, where we are in this pivotal point, in this kind of turning point that COVID puts us in, these questions become relevant. These questions become it's ridiculous not to ask these questions. It's short-sighted to propose solutions that are based on bringing everything back to what it was.
It would be very exciting in all these cases to really ask each person who wants to be a leader,
Yeah.
tell us, even give them like I don't know. I would be very excited to give a politician, I don't know, $50 million each, and ask them to
Okay.
make a 5 minute movie of the future that you want to depict for us, the future of show us what America will look like or what any country look like in 4 years after you have been in charge, right? Because
uh,
everything now is just like bickering about nonsense. Like, show me your vision.
mm-hmm.
Show me if you win and you have the resources and you have everything. Paint to me. Here's $50 million. Paint. There's no campaigning. You just for 6 months, for 8 months, we give you the best Hollywood directors, whoever you want. Show us your vision of what my life is going to be like in 4 years when you've done your job. And each one gets to show us their vision. Then we the four
that
hour work week, the vaccine, no vaccine, this is it all irrelevant. I want to know where we're headed. Pick
when
my
you,
head. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, when you put things in that kind of perspective, when you put that, give me this clear vision on the table kind of demand, it becomes clear that our whole system of politics is just I'll tell you what it is. It's it's outdated. It's becoming obsolete because it doesn't do it. What it does is it perpetuates division and it doesn't solve our problems. At the end of the day, we
Which vision
have
does it perpetuate?
it perpetuates division.
Oh,
Division.
division.
Yeah.
I
That
thought you said it perpetuates the
because
vision.
no, that okay. Sorry, that's so it. I wish, but yeah. So why? Because by nature of how it's built, it's this idea that you have to be competing with each other to win against the other side, and that dynamic just creates a situation where division only has to grow. It can never you can maybe it can go down for a little while, but you cannot, if you're a politician and you want to win, you can't even take into account, you can't even make steps towards true reconciliation
Not if you
with
want to
with
win.
the other side. Exactly, exactly. This is the issue. So it
Basically, it's set up.
go ahead.
It's set up. If you want to win, you have to destroy the other side. You have to divide, and that's the only way to win.
And so, because of that, you also can't solve problems. It's not designed, we can't actually solve problems. We can only move them around from side to side. And this is how our reality looks like in the last few decades, right? Like one side takes the helm, takes the lead, and then, deals with the problems in one way. And it's sort of like this hot potato situation that all the leaders are like throwing from one to the other, and also those leaders themselves, they're also like, in a sense, of course they are very, unfortunately, the power corrupts them. And in this, let's leave that aside, the corruption aside for a second, but they're kind of miserable. They're kind of miserable because, within 2 years in office, they already have to start thinking about how to get reelected. And it's always just this game of hot potato, just, not holding it in your head, just to make sure that whatever's going to happen is not going to, if it's a disaster, it's not going to be written under my name. If it's a success, then I have to somehow write it under my name. This whole setup doesn't make any sense in a world that's becoming increasingly interdependent, in a world where we are becoming increasingly divided and we need to find a way to coexist because we're dependent on each other, and in a world where we are destabilizing the climate and have to make sure that we are balanced with
What
nature.
would these movies look like? What would these politicians' movies look like if you gave each politician, you said no campaigning.
Yeah,
Here's 50 million. Here's 100 million.
it's
You
a,
got
it's
a
it's a
year, 6 months to make a great movie. Show us your vision. What would they show us?
it's a good question, man.
I mean, would they
It's a
show
great
us?
question.
Would they show us? Half of the country. Well, we're going to put half the country in jail. Everyone doesn't believe in us. We're going to put them in jail, and we're gonna. What are they going to do? And we're going to give everyone free money. What are they going to? And the other side says, well, we're going to put everyone back to work and have the greatest GDP. And meanwhile, we're pumping more pollutants into the air. Nobody's got time for their family again.
Mhm.
Um,
So let's make a
ev-
movie, Seth. Let's make it now. You ready for it?
yeah,
Let's make
yeah.
our movie, okay? So whoever's watching right now and has $50 million to give us, we're gonna convince you now why it's worth it. Okay, I would show that it is possible. I'm not organizing the script right now. I'm just throwing ideas now. Okay, so
Okay,
we'll
okay.
have to
Let's do it.
reorganize it afterwards. But one of the things I'd like to show in that movie is how we are capable of creating a society where people and countries and economies are not measuring GDP. They're not measuring how much business did we do. They're not measuring, did the stocks, did the stocks rise or not. What they're measuring in an empirical way is, are people getting happier? This is a I'm not hallucinating. This is a doable thing. Ask any psychologists, social psychologists. They'll tell you there's a whole field that's been developed in the last 20, 30 years of happiness psychology, positive psychology, where they
Yeah,
come up
right.
with all of those empirical measures to see, are you happy, what makes you happy. There's all kinds of
At what
reports that you can
point
test.
money stops making you happy anymore?
Exactly, and they can quantify it, and they can also correlate it to your physical situation, your familial situation, and so on. So I would start measuring. Chris, I see our Chris Jones, our beloved Chris Jones, is throwing some things in us here. Okay, measuring happiness. How can we measure it? 5 approaches researchers use to measure happiness. Okay, so and there you go. There's a biological method, behavioral method, all kinds of methods. So thank you, Chris. So there is a way to measure happiness. I'd show in our $50 million film, I would show a society where people are seeing how happier they are becoming thanks to what they're doing in society, and how all of society becomes happier, more relaxed, healthier, more resilient, less depression. These are the things I would measure in the future society. Today, when you measure, and I also want to show that in the movie, that comparison. When you measure GDP and you see a number that goes up, what that means
And
is
smokestacks and as the GDP goes up, you just show more pollution flying into the air, more people getting
exactly.
obese.
I don't think everyone captures that idea, but this is what's happening. You have a society, an economy, and thereby a society that measure progress by that number that encapsulates a lot of bad things that we're doing. So if that number goes up, which we are programmed to want to see, it actually means that we're hurting ourselves in many ways. In many ways, from hurting our nature, the ecology, to our psychology and everything in between. And so I would, okay, so this is what I throw at you. We can develop that further on, but let's just say the measurement, changing the measurement, just showing how that's possible. And think about, how, phones and our technology, how all of that can start serving that whole concept. Go, man, just go. What would you throw in the
My
movie?
vision,
Yeah.
what I would show the family, person waking up in 4 years from now, after I've been president for 4 years,
Yeah.
I would show that a person wakes up in the morning with hope. That person wakes up, if they put something on, it talks about things that are developing in the world that are helping each other. The ones that are famous or the celebrities are the ones who are, and not in some not cool way, in the coolest, most exciting way, helping, being the greatest benefit to others in the most exciting ways, putting on the greatest barbecues, putting on the greatest concerts, making the most fun games, creating fun
I'm
things at the
sorry.
beach.
Sorry,
What's
we
happening?
have a disturbance here. There we go. Yeah.
Um,
You just said, yeah, okay. I
hold on a
totally
second.
cut you off. Yeah.
I would imagine, I would show a life where, when COVID first started, it was the spring here. When the quarantine first started here, it was April, May. It was beautiful out, and we have trails like a mile from here. Um, and hold on a sec. Two teenagers homeschooling. Um, we were down. There was trails like a mile from here, and there was just, I don't know, could be hundreds of people out walking, parents with kids, people on their bicycles. I never saw people, and now again, there's nobody back down there again. So I would see a world where people spend time outside together, people walk together. Have you ever done that? You ever like done like 30-minute walk every day for a period
I,
of time in your life?
I actually just started doing this with the pandemic. Interestingly,
Okay.
I
So
I
yeah,
started doing it regularly. Yeah, like a couple
just to
months ago.
walk
Yeah.
and think and
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
be in
Yeah.
front of the computer, there's something
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic about it. It's very natural. You have time to kind of air out your mind. You have time to, it's a different pace than being in front of the computer or being on the phone. So I would imagine just simple things at first, not revolutions in technology and revolutions in
Mm,
industry. And I'll tell you why.
mm.
Because once everybody starts to live in a more healthy way, and once everyone starts to feel more calm, once neighbors start to feel safe together, from that's the people on the boat headed towards the destination. You can then measure all the wake and stuff behind it later. Like that's all, like what technology comes out, what the needs
Mm.
of those people are will determine what technology they might need. Like
Oh, okay.
what if I'm happy, if me and all my neighbors are, having a barbecue in, every other night someone else is making some barbecue in the backyard, and all the kids, and even if not, even if we eat home, but all the kids play together safely. You don't have to worry about the kids being kidnapped playing in the yard. Then all of a sudden, the kind of things, we don't need 1,000 companies making cameras that are going to go all over my house so that no matter where I am, I can look on my phone if someone's kidnapping my child when I'm going
Yeah.
grocery shopping. Is someone kidnapping my child when I go to work? Is someone kidnapping my child? What the hell kind of life is that? What is that? And now you have companies and their stock value is going so high because they made a better camera that can be in your house to tell you if someone's kidnapping your child. What? It's insane. It's insane. We don't need
Hmm.
all of that kind of technology and all that kind of thing. So, in short, start with the relationships between people. From that, we determine what are our needs. And from that, it will determine what kind of industries we need, what kind of technologies we need, what kind of technologies we need.
Okay. No, that's you're putting the focus on the emotional state of the human being and its and his relationship with the other fellow human beings. Now, okay, let's go back let's go back, put this back into the context of capitalism today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Okay, so I would say this for a while now, for a long period of time, meaning a few decades, I guess, maybe more, like 50 years, maybe for 50 years, half a century or something like that, capitalism was working for a lot of people, maybe for the majority of people. It created or enabled or didn't stand in the way of creating more abundant kind of life. And then at some point, it just stops working for the benefit of most of the people. And the moment, because it's like, you have this kind of, I'm going to oversimplify it now, but you have this situation where you allow people to just compete for their own greed at the end of the day. Forget about the stocks, forget about the banks, forget about the numbers, the GDPs, the measurements, the economists. Just what's economy at the end of the day? It's what you talked about. It's the relationship between people. Economics is the reflection of human relations. It's about what we each give to and receive from each other, from society. That's economics. So capitalism came into the world as a new concept that said, let's just all freely compete with each other, but everyone aiming to get the best they can. And while we're doing that, we'll also be doing good to other people. I'll try to make a lot of money, and I'll have to do it by serving someone, by creating some benefit, some value for someone. So I'll just do that. And for a while, this worked. But then from the moment you start having
You know where
winners,
that while is?
yeah,
The moment you start having what?
from the no go
Well, see, it really works. It worked up until like all of our animal needs were met. Like it helped us
mm,
develop. Okay, now everyone has a home. Okay, now we have running water, everybody. Okay, good. And now we're all connected. We all have something in our house where we can see what's going on in the world, and everyone has a refrigerator. Okay, like we got to, and then it gets to a point where it's just about counting zeros because after you have everything you need.
so that's a good aspect. So this is where this is one aspect of it where it took us to a certain point of abundance, let's say, and from that point on there begins to be a problem. There begins to be a problem with needs and actual needs versus what capitalism wants us to need. Right? There's so that's one aspect. But what I was going to say, and we can talk about this, but what I was going to say is it worked until you started to have these winners that, because they got so great at the game, at the end of the day, there's no more competition because you have all these monopolies and all these, like, huge corporations and huge players that essentially it's game over. That's basically what happens. And so you end up with a situation where it can't work long term. You just can't, you put people in an island and you let them compete. At some point, at some point, some people will have more power over the others. And when that happens, you're going to have dissatisfaction on the other side. Now, how disproportionate is this situation between the powerful and the powerless will determine the stability of the system. And we're coming to a point where we need to consider a new concept for stability, not because, ideologically there's a problem, because, this is, it's not ethical, just because it's not going to be sustainable. If you have a pandemic now and people are anxious about what they're going to do and how they're going to eat, and they don't know what's going to happen with their jobs, you have a problem. If that problem continues, then you might not be able to sustain society. You might have to start in some way calming down these people and providing them with some of their basic needs if you want to coexist. So these are the kinds of questions that we gotta ask ourselves in a 21st century humanity that is plagued by a global pandemic. And
Let me show you. Let me show you how New
yeah,
Jersey is planning on solving this.
bill to decriminalize marijuana in New Jersey passes in committee and is amended to include hallucinogenic mushrooms. Okay, all
So there's
right,
one way to calm everyone down.
that's another way. And of course, here too, you can talk about pros and cons. Let's not get into that now, but for
No, no, I'm
sure,
not talking about
for
even any benefit or not benefit, but just the point is when everyone's gonna have all this time and they
yeah,
don't have like they didn't come up with a plan to school everyone. They didn't come up with a plan to educate people. They didn't come up with like any plans of what to do to people. It's like, all right, well, let's at least keep them on the couch in the meantime. It's like
yeah.
give them some
No,
smoke and keep them on the couch.
it's it's just we have to. I'll just say let's head over to the chat and see what's happening there. Let's look at that. I'll just say this, that we need to come up with a whole new concept of human society. It's not about um, going more socialist or going more capitalist or democratic socialism, or we need to reinvent what is the purpose of the human. What are we living for? Are we living for just working 80% of our lives in order to consume most of the time and take pride in our material status symbols? That's where I think the scrutiny of the animal versus the human comes into play, which you were focusing on. That's where I think if we discover where we are different from our bodies, what does the human in us actually want, actually needs, then we can come up with a whole different kind of concept for human life on this planet. That when we start discovering that, when we start to elevate our minds and our hearts to aspire to things beyond matter, then we can start seeing what actually do we need in order to provide for ourselves, and is there an easier way to accomplish this instead of just working 80% of our lives. Anyway, yet to be over, man. We need to keep going at this discussion in another time. I think let's look at the chat here. Are you seeing something? There's a bunch of things um, that people here are saying, chiming into the discussion.
Hit me
Kevin
with something
James
good.
says, um, um, I'm just seeing Kevin James saying there will be so many people out of work. They stop them from protesting by giving them free weed and shrooms. In relation to what you just said. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Do you have a specific thing from the chat that you think we should
I
bring
saw a
up?
question from Julie Dehan. It's not exactly on topic, but it is interesting. And it was right 9 minutes into the show. So Julie came locked and loaded and ready to fire this one at us. Am I understanding this correctly? That nature is the program and the creator is the programmer. So I don't remember talking about the
Ooh,
creator yet, but Julie's
all
been doing
right.
some homework, I guess.
You already brought up the question. You should give the answer as well.
Yes. Next question.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, whenever in the wisdom of Kabbalah, whenever we speak, which is where Asaf and I get this world view from, um, the creator means it's we're talking about nature, and we're not talking about nature like pagan worship of trees or something like that. We're talking about the really that one formula maybe that Einstein was looking for, that all the scientists have been looking for. What is that one formula that ties everything, that connects everything? And actually the place where it exists is actually above the trees, it's above the waterfalls, it's above the rainbows. Above doesn't mean spatially above, it means like above. When you measure above and below in this realm, it's more like cause and effect. The more causal you get, that's closer to above, and the more effect you get, that's more towards below. So all of there is a force, and everything in this, once we get into reality that we can perceive, we're only talking about pluses and minus, plus and minus. That's what's going on in this game down here that we're in now. We want to go up to where that um where it's all one again. That's that kind of infinite. That's called beyond space and time. That's called endless perfection. That's called complete fulfillment. But here we're dealing with everything that's plus and minus. So the force, that whatever it is that makes our heart beat, we talk about this all the time. Whatever it makes the stars shine, whatever makes the grass grow, that's the plus force. And then all of material reality is the minus force, and it's all reality, whether it's on the inanimate, vegetative, animate, or speaking human level, is running one simple line of software. Remember it well. How can I get the most amount of benefit possible for the least amount of energy? And that's the software. And whatever it means by creator, we don't even need to get into that. But we can just we really want to look at everybody here should be a skeptic, right? Nobody should just be believing. Asaf and I, it's not a cult. This is not some kind of we want to only challenge us. If you hear something that's not right, that's good. Iron sharpens iron. Like we want to be clear. We want to get our message clearly across what's happening. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is not some kind of religion. We're looking at what's happening. We're looking at the patterns, and we're seeing where this is going. So to answer the question shortly, Asaf, you should have pulled the brake on me on that one. You let me go way too long. Yes, there is a program, and there is a quote unquote
Uh,
programmer, whatever that means. So there was that one. You
all
next.
right. All right.
Okay.
I want to throw at you something here. You
Okay.
you ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
No, because you were talking about this whole animal versus human kind of scrutiny. You kind of brought that up, and I think it's very relevant. Okay, we're gonna have to continue the economics related discussion later on, but maybe okay, let's just take a look at something. Okay, this is
Okay.
okay. This is can you see my screen? Yeah. This is some tweet that was trending by some lady named Helena Morrissey. Thank you for this video. So okay, take a look at this. Really cute, right? So you see this person, giving the treat to the dog, and the dog sees that the person that the owner goes away, chews on the treat, yum yum yum, this is good. Now what happens? Now it goes back to the drawer where the treats come from. Now
Oh
it
no. Is
takes
he gonna put another one on the
it takes
table?
another one, puts it on
Oh
the table, and closes the drawer. Closes the drawer.
no.
There you go. And nice and cute. Here
No.
is me. Here is me. Here is my owner. Hey, can I get this? Oh, thank you. Thank you, owner. Anyway, so thank you, Helena Morrissey, for this. So I wanted to ask you, what do you
Wow.
think? Wow, right? This is
Wow.
interesting. Why is this interesting? I want to get to the bottom of this. What what is actually happening here? Okay, what do you
That
think?
dog's been spending way too much time with humans.
What do you think is happening though? How do you interpret the situation? Does the animal, the dog, did it steal the treat and then tried to hide its
No,
uh
not at all. Not at all.
wait. Let me ask you a bunch of questions before
Okay.
you answer, okay? Did it steal, did it try to then hide its theft, or even more complex, did it try to hide its shame, or is it trying to just get two for one, just a simple calculation, hey, I can get, he's giving me from the drawer, I just need to, take, let's get into the dog, let's get into the dog's mind and understand what's happening here. So is it just like, oh, there's a treat, they're coming from there, he's giving me them, so I'm just gonna go there, get another one, and ask for another one? That's
And he'll
it?
no, and
Or
and he'll be mad at me. First of all, the whole thing could be staged, but let's leave that aside. The
okay,
next,
no, I
the
don't care if it's shade, even if it's stage. I don't care. I don't care. I think
so
it's a good. Go ahead.
the next part is the next part is the dog understands if I took something I'm not supposed to, there's a consequence. We talked about truth before on the show. We don't live by truth. There's all these other things that happen. So if he comes back and sees that I took it, then I'll be in trouble. So I should leave it. But if he comes back and he sees it's still on the table, he'll like me. I
Uh
think
huh.
it's all small. Dogs don't have language like we have.
Sure.
He's not
They have
thinking,
they
well,
have
if I do
communication
this,
skills. They have some communication skills, not
sure, and
language, but yeah.
they have right,
And
but
they
he's
have a
not
certain
he.
array of emotions. So
But all the things that we're talking about are
So what's the no, Seth? Let's get to the bottom of this. What's the calculation that the dog? This is economics. This is economics 101. This is behavioral economics. What we're seeing here, right? I'm trying to use this now as an example to try to see how are we different in our economic calculations as opposed to animals. So what do you think is the calculation here that the dog is
no, that
making?
looked to me basically like all humans. That looked like the same
So
behavior.
what was the calculation? Was the dog going like,
How can I get the most for myself for the least amount of effort?
okay. What if I told you that I'm just entertaining your what
Challenge
if
me.
yeah, just what if I told you that maybe the dog was thinking, wow, the I love my owner, and all I do, I guard the house, and I comfort my owner when my owner feels bad, and I like being around my owner, and my owner is a big part of my life. I feel him as my owner. I am, he's the host in this situation. He's the owner of me. And maybe the dog was just going like, he wants to give me and he enjoys me getting this treat. Maybe I'll just give him another opportunity.
You're cute. Not even a chance.
Why not?
Okay, no, it's possible that he just wants his person to enjoy, right? He just wants to make his person happy or her
Yeah.
person happy. Okay, yeah, okay, I buy that. Maybe he wants to or she wants to make his person happy. Um, that's far
Okay.
fetched.
It's tough, right? It's tough. It's a tough.
No, it's
It's
not. Why?
not.
What? No, it's not so tough.
Why is it okay? Then make it easy.
Because he doesn't have all that language. It's all he's living only by instinct.
Okay.
If he's a breed that is that is if he's a species, not species, if he's the breed that wants, when we have these books on dogs because we were looking to get a dog for a while, and you can see
And
this
decided
dog.
not to.
Yeah, I can't take care of a dog. If had a, this dog is easy to train, needs this, likes to run a lot, or this dog does not need to run a lot, only needs to go outside twice a day, and this one is very protective. Not only that, in this breed, the female behaves like this, and the male behaves more like that. It's like a sign. It's like
Mm-hmm.
math. You can pick out exact. I want a dog that I don't need to walk a lot. You get some dogs like a Jack Russell Terrier, and like the thing just jumps and yaps from the minute you wake up until the minute you go to sleep at night. Then you get another dog. He wants just take him out to pee in the morning. He'll sit down in front of the fireplace, and you'll come home from work. He'll get up from the door, give you a lick, go outside to pee, and then like go sleep again. It just depends on the kind of creature it is. So
Hmm. So,
this
okay.
all instinct.
So the one so the one component. So even if the dog, even if the dog wanted to hide what it to just get another one, let's just say this. Even if the dog just wanted to get another one, or it wanted to give more pleasure to just enjoy giving pleasure to the host, in any case, in either of those cases, the dogs do this without ego. That's what the dogs don't have when they make the calculation. So the dogs won't be in a situation where I just want to have more for me so that you can have less. That is probably the calculation that the dog cannot make, lacking the kind of ego that the human has. You know what I mean?
Well, it sounds like, I mean, very much in capitalism, it's not just that, if everyone had the same thing, we feel special when we have something that the other one doesn't. It's important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude,
Jetsy.
I had a talk with Dan Ariely, Professor Dan Ariely, when
Oh,
he
yeah.
was. You know what? I actually have somewhere from years ago some footage of him and I talking on the roof of some building that here in Israel years ago. Anyway, I need to. It was actually an interesting conversation, and it's actually very relevant to what we're talking about. So I'll, you know what? I'll find that. You guys hear that? Here's a promise. I'll find this footage and we'll get a few minutes of it and we'll play it on the show or put it on the channel, or something like that. But in any case, he talks about so much research that he has done in this field of behavioral economics, showing that what people actually care about is not how much they have, but how much they have in relation to others. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Listen, Jetsy did Yager, I
they'd
think is
rather
on.
have less, absolute less, than relatively, like less than others, as long as the others have less as well.
Than them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jetsy is saying, do you think that the human ego has evolved beyond the incentives capitalism brings? And here's what's this is what
That's a
this
great question.
is.
There we go.
Yeah,
There
it's a
we
great
go.
question.
Nail
And
it. Nail it. Now nail it.
hello coronavirus, because we have the free. I mean, capitalism kind of gave us the freedom to create whatever we need, but we're just behaving like these animals, like an animal, our own species of animal. And now comes the coronavirus, which helps us kind of organize what's important to us. It's not just the freedom to be able to go out and exploit anyone as long as I don't get caught. and trade my carbon credits. I can still pollute if I can just pay someone else enough for their carbon credits, and all this kind of crap, these lies, just more lies on top of
Mm,
lies, and legislative lies, legislated lies,
mm,
making lies into law.
mm-hmm.
But now through the virus, all of a sudden our needs change. So the human ego, Jetsi, would cruise towards nuclear war. That's the only place it would go, towards total annihilation of the human race. And there would be a few people left, and families would be torn apart. And if we just let capitalism keep going as it is, we would tear apart all families. We would just exploit everything from everyone just for our own benefit. Let's get to a few more questions since we're so close to the end. Global check. Hello, everyone. Hello to all of our friends from Cairo, Quebec, Minnesota, South Africa, the UK, Salt
Woo.
Lake City, Tenerife, Finland,
Yeah.
Old Fort, North Carolina, Bergen, Norway, Brooklyn, Puerto Rico, uh, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Um, Julie Dehan says, "What will happen to pets in the transition?" This was touched on in an earlier show.
Yeah.
Pets kind of, go ahead.
Should I try? Yeah. Um, Pets. Yeah. No, I feel like we should say something about pets now after talking about that dog for a few minutes. um, you know what? I'll try to sum it up here with regards to the pets and the difference between us and animals. So we have this whole extended section of experience, of existence. We call it the human ego, but really, what it is just a desire that is qualitatively different than that of the animate level. So the rock only wants to keep, if you think about all of reality as desires, the rock only wants to preserve its existence. The vegetative already wants to bear fruit and to grow. The animate wants to move about and multiply and satisfy its needs, and the human wants to find fulfillment, not to be to reach that balance with its body where its needs are being met. It seeks fulfillment. We're looking for some fulfillment, and what we are discovering as we evolve is that this fulfillment is non-material. That's what the science is also finding today in the last 20 years. All those happiness researchers are finding that you don't get happier when you have more material. You don't become more satisfied when you have more than what your needs actually need, because that's on the animate level. For them, it's fine. The dog doesn't need more than getting its treat. The human needs to find a non-material fulfillment that only exists, if you're asking us, in the connection between us. So that's the whole thing. We've created an economy that directs us to fight with each other to gain more material reward. It turns out that we don't need more material than what our animate level actually needs. And by fighting with each other, we're missing out on the spiritual, non material fulfillment that we actually need. And that's why the whole concept of society has to change. Welcome to the Great Transition, everybody. I know you just want to put a song now, and we can call it a day. But we gotta say that
I actually want to stay for another hour. That's what I actually want to say.
everyone, thank you for being with us. Thank you so much. I just want to say that we will be here on Sunday, and on Sunday we're gonna be only on the Great Transition YouTube channel. And in general, if you really want to keep up with what we're talking about and everything the Great Transition, this is where you want to go. bit.ly/the Great Transition is where we're putting all our live shows and all the clips between the shows. Go there, subscribe now if you haven't already. More good things are coming your way if you visit this channel. Also, the handle for our Twitter, the header for our Twitter page that we're now bringing to life with the help of our dear Chris Jones. We're going to be in communication with anyone who wants to know more about the show, talk to us about what kind of topics we can explore together on the Great Transitions, and a lot of other things. Go to TGT_pod. The handle is TGT_pod.
Leon, we saw your message about us talking over each other. We had a good laugh about that this week. Thanks.
Oh, we need to talk about that. Are we talking? We're talking over each other, Seth.
What?
What? Are we? No, but seriously, we appreciate you guys, whatever feedback you have. This is a conversation that we can only have together. Let's do this, guys. We need to see a new world coming together. This is what's happening. The Great Transition starts in our minds and hearts. What do you got for us, Seth?
Oh, hey, how about this one?
Ooh.
Gigantic.
Oh, okay.
Thinking about all my great friends, gigantic. Thinking about all my great friends, gigantic. Thinking about all my great friends, gigantic. Gigantic. All around the world, connecting points in one desire. All around the world, and so many sparklers in single fire. All around the world, connecting points in one desire. All around the world, and so many sparklers, single fire.
The world seems broken when you're living alone. Put the pieces back together, turn this earth to a home. Back as one soul, sparks on every end of the globe. We unite as one flame, turn the hate into smoke. Love will arise, I see fire in my friend's eyes. Heart beating for the goal, love is covering crimes, yeah. Shekel after shekel goes into the bank. Effort after effort, brothers got your back. Everybody praying only for the 10. All we got, we paying only for the friends. And he gon' finish the work. One heart, one soul, love gon' cover the earth.
All around the world, connecting points in one desire. All around the world, there's so many sparklers, single fire. All around the world, connecting points in one desire. All around the world, there's so many sparklers, single fire.
Hello friends,
Ain't nowhere else that I wanna be.
to come here
It's just the friends that I wanna be.
many obstacles
The friends I wanna learn from.
for me.
Tell
and
me
many
what's my
friends.
purpose. All my life
wanted
I've
to
been
come
searching
here for a really,
until
really
I
long
finally
time.
find you right now.
I just
And all my life I was searching,
really
lost in myself
felt
until they lifted me out.
calling here
I don't know nothing but what I know.
by the friends
That you're my brother, let's come
that have been
close.
taking care of me to
And one man, one soul,
smallest detail.
all together right now, let's go.
Coming here
Yeah,
really is no
last
other perception.
generation, know that we came up
The
for
friends are
nothing.
the
Now we
greatest.
get into a higher elevation,
The friends are the greatest,
vibing in
and
the same
Congress
vibration.
will
Yeah,
change the world.
you my brother, ain't no replacement.
Nice.
And I don't know nothing but the friends.
All around the world, connecting points in one desire. All around the world, there's so many sparklers, single fire. All around the world, connecting points in one desire. All around the world, there's so many sparklers, single fire. All around the world, connecting points in one desire.